So welcome friends, welcome to these inner classes. This is my second session of the looping control statement. Basically we are going to discuss the trick and technique for the placement preparation using looping control statement in C. Fine. So without going wasting too much time on this concept, because in the if you see my last session, I have discussed a bit about the basics of the looping. So you can refer my last session. I'll put my this video link on my description box. Okay, so without wasting too much time, let me directly come to the question. And the first question which we are trying to discuss is this. You see, this is the question we are trying to discuss as the first question. What do you think? What will be the answer to this question? Question is, integer I is equal to 1, right? Here, the value of I is 1. The value of j is 1. Okay. The loop statement is like that. You see, I minus minus, so it is pre-increment, so the value will be 0. And in my last 2-3 sessions I discussed is if the value is 0, the first value is 0, and whatever it's added with and, logical and, right, it's not going to evaluate. So this is 0, so this is not going to be evaluated in any case. Fine. So it will come here 0 less than 10 and the condition is true. If this condition is true, it will print loop. Fine. Then it will go here. So it will be after 0 it will be 2. So condition 2 less than 10. Okay. So again it's going to print 0 for the second time. Then the value of I will be again, the value of I will be 4. Condition is 4 less than 10 here. 4 less than 10. Okay. Third time it is going to print loop. Again its value will be 6. Then fourth time, you see, first is 0, second is 0, second is 2, 4, 6 and 8. Fine. So fourth time it's going to print loop again. Fifth time also it will print loop. But when the value of I will be 10, so the condition will be 10 less than 10 less than 10, which is not correct. So it will come out of the loop, right? So it's going to print 5 times loop. Why? First for 0, second for 2, third for 4, fourth for 6 and fifth for 8, right? So let me show you. Yeah, this is the code. And if you are going to run this code, you see, this is the code which I discussed just now. And if you are going to run this code, it is going to print 5 times loop. Right. So this is a basic question to check whether you are knowing this concept or not. It's, you see, and j++, it's simply written just to waste your time. The question is somewhere here. They are trying to check whether you are knowing this concept or not, right? So let me use the second question. And second question is again very easy. I discussed many a time to you. Means this type of question, not the same question. I discussed this question, means same type of question I discussed in the last session. So this is the second question which we are trying to see. Yeah, this question. Fine. For 5 comma, you see here 5, then 2 and 2, right? 5, 2, 2, right? Print hello. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You see, for loop, whatever in between this, like between 2 semicolon, if this value is constant, if this value is 0, this loop will not run. If this value is constant, like here there is 2, so this loop will be indefinite loop and it is not going to run in any case, right? So it will create an indefinite loop and it's not going to execute. So let me show you. The code is like this, which just I took. This is the code, print hello, return 0. It's already there, so no need to write once more. Fine. So let me run it. So as per the explanation, it should write, yeah, you see, oh, yeah, so you see, time limit exceeded, no output. So it is going to create an indefinite loop. Fine. This is going to create an indefinite loop. Why? Because between two semicolon here, there is constant value, and it is not going to increase or decrease. It will never come to zero. Fine. So it will be 2 only, and every time it will find some value. So it is going to create an indefinite loop. I hope this question is clear to you, because the same type of question is almost this type of question I have asked you, means I have discussed you in my last session. So I'm not going to just give much time on this question. So in that case, let me discuss another question, right? Okay. So this is one more question. Okay. So this is one question. Yes. Okay. This question. Here there is a static integer I for I plus plus semicolon plus I semicolon I plus plus printf percentage d, that is I, if I logically equal to 6 break. Fine. So this is the question. So I guess before going for, you see, the explanation, let me just mark something. Fine. It is here, there is static integer I, and I guess you are knowing static the variable, right? If you are declaring any variable of the type static, it will initialize with 0. And here there is I plus plus, here there is plus I, and here I plus plus. And printf percentage d, that is I, if I is equal to 6, then break, otherwise it will continue. Okay. So let me show you the code in the compiler. It will work perfectly, there is no problem at all. Static I, integer I told you that it will initialize with 0. Here I plus plus, it's post increment, right? Post increment. So it will be, what the value? You see, it is post increment. Here there is pre increment. Fine. And here there is post increment. Fine. So let me run it, then we'll discuss. You see, code is okay, no problem. The answer is 246. How? You see, here the value of static integer I is 0. Why? The static variable by default it's going to initialize with 0. Here the value will be, you see, 1. Then here it will be 2. So it's going to print 2. Fine. After that, you see, this condition is not true. So nothing will happen. So this will go here, right? So the value is now 3. And then 4. So next time it's going to print 4. Then again it will go here, that is 5 and then 6, right? So it is going to print 6, but after 6 it will check if the value is 6, then it's going to break. So this loop will break. Finally this loop will break. So ultimately the answer is 2, 4 and 6. You see, answer is 2, 4 and 6. This is just to check your knowledge about this. You see, it seems that this is again going to be indefinite loop because there is no condition, but this loop is going to break because this break statement, and this is just to check whether you are knowing this break statement to break your loop or not. Fine. So I guess explanation is okay, and if you find any difficulty you can ask me. You can just comment me. I'll just host some online session also, so just give me a comment, right? I'll just again host some session, online session, and I can explain once more. But I guess this is very simple question, nothing to worry, right? So let me take another question. Fine. So integer function is equal to, again this is very good question, here it is integer, not int. Fine, this is int. Okay, integer function is equal to print C for loop, then integer x is equal to 5. Fine, x is equal to 0, x less than equals 1, x plus plus, and you say here the print is written in percentage x. And what is percentage x? Percentage x is hexadecimal, hexa. Fine, now you see it's going to count the number of character, right? So you see here there is integer x is equal to 5, right? Integer x is equal to 5. So for the first thing which is going to do here, it's going to print that the first thing it will come is C for loop, right? And then it's going to count the number of characters. So the number of characters is 1, there is one blank, 2, 3, 4, 5, there is blank 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and after 10 there is one blank space also, 11, right? So it is integer x is equal to 5. So you see this loop will run how many times? 0 to less than fun. Now fun is going to return this value is 11, right? This value is 11. So this loop will run how many times? 11 times. And what is going to print? It's going to print the 11 values of x, that is in hexa. Percentage x means what? Percentage x means hexadecimal, right? So the output is C for loop. The first thing it will come is C for loop, and then it is going to print 0, 1, 2, 2, 9, and then A and B. Why A and B? You see this 0 to 9 is how much? 9 numbers, and then A and B, it will print 11 values, right? It will print 11 values. You see hexa A, hexa B, the representation after 9 is A and B. Now you see, let me so let me take the question first and then we'll discuss. So this is our question, and here we need to put it. Okay, and let me run it. You see, the first thing it's going to print is C for loop, then 0 to 9, and then A and B. I guess the explanation is okay. Explanation is clear. What I explained here, it's clear to you, right? Okay, so let me take another question. And this all question which I am discussing with you, it has been asked to many of the placement drive or some competitive examination. So take care. Okay, so this question, I think this is not a, yes, what do you think? There is no initialization, no problem. I plus plus, so it will be 1. And here there is printf percentage %g, that is I, right? It's going to print. Okay. So what do you think? What will be the output? This question is asked somewhere. I think it's very interesting question and very common question, right? So you see the question. This is I is equal to 0. Okay. There is nothing initialization. Here there is I plus plus, and here there is printf statement. And again here there is printf statement. Okay. Now you see, when there is no initialization, and here this is post increment, mind it, this post increment. So first the value is 0, and after that the post increment is going to come, the value will be 1. So when it will be 0, this loop will not run, and this loop is terminating here only. But after that the value of I will be 1. So when this line will execute, it's going to print 1. So the only output to this question is 1. The only output to this question is 1. You see, one. How it happened? Because here the value of I is 0, so this loop terminated, you see. But this is post increment. When the loop terminated, after termination the value of I becomes 1, so this loop is terminated here only. But when the control will come to this line, it's going to print the value of I to 1. Yes, this I have already explained you on this scratch pad, right? Okay, so now let me take another question. You see, integer I, okay, for I equals 0, I less than I plus plus comma 5, and here I plus plus, fine. Now you need to print I. You see, this is initialization, no problem. The condition is I less than I plus plus, fine. And here there is increment also. So what? Let me run it first. The output is 1 and 3. The output is 1 and 3. Now you see, this is I plus plus, fine. So the first time the value when it coming from this loop, you see I is equal to 0, no problem at all. I less than I plus plus, so I plus plus is what? It's 1, so I is less than 1, so there is, you see here there is initialization. So 0 is less than 1, no problem at all, so it's going to print 1. After that the value will be 2, and after that here it will be 3, right? So 0 is less than 3, no problem at all, right? So it's going to print 3, fine. But next time it will be 4 and this will be 5. So you see here there is condition I plus plus comma 5, right? There is two conditions. There is two conditions here, I plus plus comma 5, right? So the explanation is like this. You see, this is I, this is 0. So 0 here, 0 is less than 5, no problem at all. But actually this is post increment. So 1 is less than, you see 1 is less than 5, no problem. After that it will be, you see, here it will be 2 and then it will be 3. So 3 is less than 5, no problem. But after that it will be 4 and this will be 5. So 5 cannot be less than 5. Okay. So let me discuss it on the scratch pad. You see, this is I. Initialization is here. I less than I plus plus comma 5. Actually, we need to compare I with 5. We need to compare I with 5. Fine. So you see, in the beginning it's 0. So 0 is less than 5, but it increased to 1, right? So it's going to print the value of I to 1 first. Fine. Then it will come here. Then it will be 2. And then it will go here. Then it will be 3. Fine. So actually 3 is less than 5. No problem at all. So it's going to print 3. After 3, again it will be 4, and here it will be 5. So 5 is not less than 5. So this loop will break and ultimately it's going to print 1 and 3. Fine. So I hope this explanation is okay to you, right? And this question, you see the output, I have already compiled it, run it, and you can see the output. You see it's 1 and 3, right? So I guess it's okay, right? So let me take another question. Integer I and j, I is equal to 0, j is equal to 5, I less than j, I plus plus, j minus minus, and we need to print I and j both, right? So let me run it, and after you see the output will discuss the logic. And the output is 051432, and I guess it's not a very tough question to discuss more, because actually there is one is increment, another is decrement, and you see this value is starting from 0, right? So the first thing which is going to print is this loop will run 5 times, right? This loop will run 5 times. You see there is two things, one is I and one is j. I is initializing to 0, this loop, this is j is 5 here, so when the value of j will be 0, then this loop is going to finish, and here there is j minus minus, sometime it will be, means after running 5 times this will be 0. Fine. So j, I is less than j, right? I plus plus, j minus minus. For the first time what will happen, I is 0, j is 5. Okay, I is 0, j is 5. I less than j means 0 less than 5. So this loop will run 5 times. Fine. So it's going to print I and j. So it will print what? 0 and 5. Next time what will happen? J will minus by 1. So j will be 4, I will be 1. Right? So you see here 1 and 4. Likewise 2 and 3. Sometime what will happen? This condition will false. This condition will false after this. So finally, when this condition will be false, it will come out of the loop. So output is 0, 5, 1, 4, 2, 3, right? So this is not a very interesting question to discuss, right? So we may just take some another example, interesting example. We may take another interesting example, right? Yeah, so this is the question. So let us play in this statement, this code, right? So the value of I is 1, okay. The value of j is 1, okay. This is j, 1, okay. So this loop will run because this is 1. So it will come here. So j equals I plus plus. You see the value of I is 1, but it is post increment. So initially the value of j will be 1. Now I plus plus. So I plus plus, now the value of I will be 2, okay. This condition 2 less than equals 1, right? No, 1 less than equals 1. 1 less than equals 1, okay. So this condition is true. So when this condition is true, it's going to return 1, right? So finally the value of j will be 1. So it's going to print I and j, right? So the value of I is, this we discussed here, the value of I is 2, right? So it's going to print 2 and the value of j is 1. Fine. Now again you see the value of j, right? So value of j is 1. So again this loop will run. So when it's going to run, so j equals I plus plus. So the value of I is, you see, the value of I is what? The value of I is 2, right? 2 plus plus, fine. So 2, fine. Now this is post increment. So the value of I will be 3, fine. The value of I will be 3. But this condition, now you see the condition. Condition is this condition. 2 less than equals 1. This condition is false. So when it is false, it's going to return 0. So the value of j will be 0. The value of j will be 0. Now you see, it's going to print, this is going to print I and j, fine. So the value of I we discussed here 3, right? And the value of j is 0, right? The value of j is 0. So the final output is 2, 1, 3, 0. 2, 1, 3 and 0. 2, 1, 3 and 0. Now you see here, when we are going to run this code, the output will be 2, 1, 3 and 0, right? 2, 1, 3 and 0. And now when this code is going to terminate, when the value of j will be 0, and when the value of j will be 0, when this condition is 0, right? So finally when the value of j will be 0, here this value will be 0, this loop is going to terminate, fine. So okay, I guess this session is interactive, interesting, and you understood. I tried to explain you the basic concept of loop and how the companies are trying to just check whether you are understanding the basics of loop or not, and what are the different type of question a company may ask. I think it's clear, and if there is any doubt, you can just put me some comment in the comment box. Till then, take care. Bye. Thank you. Thanks a lot.